Madrid, Salamanca district, a damp November night. In the gilded dining room of El Palacio Real, tables gleamed with crystal and bills worth almost a year's salary. Alice Butler, 32, a familiar face in fashion magazines, waited for her Balota Iberian ham the way you keep a ritual. The numbers behind her empire, 2 billion euros, didn't fill the quiet space between sips of Ribera del Duero. Before the waiter could bring the 800-euro check, a 10-year-old girl slipped in among the cashmere coats. She wore ripped jeans, the cuffs soaked by the drizzle. She neared the table, her voice barely a whisper. "Ma'am, could I eat what's left?" Her small hands shook, not from shyness but from hunger. Alice looked up. She saw blue eyes that had cried more than they should. "How long since you last ate?" The answer, 3 days, seemed to shatter the nearby crystal. Without hesitating, she pulled out the chair beside her. The waiter began a protest that died halfway. "Sit," Alice repeated in a tone that allowed no argument. The room, used to whispers about handbags and yachts, froze. Silverware rested, conversations cut off. As the girl settled in, Alice shared the 200 euros ham as if it were warm bread on a cold night. No one there suspected it, but that simple act of sharing was about to unstarch a lot of certainties and change 2 lives forever. Outside the bright restaurant, Erica, 10, hugged a thin coat to her chest. 3 days without food, she'd been roaming since she reported abuse in her foster home. On the street, she was the little blonde. The smell of roast meat drifted through the automatic door and twisted her stomach. She drew a breath and pushed the door. "Hey kid, where do you think you're going?" the maitre d' barked. Erica had already locked eyes on an elegant woman in the corner. She staggered over. "Ma'am, sorry. If there's any food left, could I finish it?" she whispered, almost voiceless. Alice Butler lifted her eyes from her phone and met 2 huge blue ones, bright with hunger and fear. "What's your name?" "Erica." "When did you last eat?" "A sandwich from the trash on Monday and today's Thursday." A pang shot through Alice. She stood, took the girl's cold hand, and led her to the velvet chair beside her. "Waiter, a plate for my guest and a hot chocolate." The young man paled but obeyed. Erica, stunned, smoothed the linen tablecloth like she was touching treasure. When the ham arrived, she told her story between quick bites. Parents dead at 8, a foster home that turned into a nightmare, running away, nights on park benches. Every line hooked Alice, already thinking of her next move while the girl devoured what felt like the tastiest meal in the world. Alice stayed silent, feeling an old anger start to throb again. "At first they seemed like good people," Erica said, watching steam rise from the chocolate. "They got money from the government but spent it on other things. I washed, ironed, cooked. A lot of times they wouldn't even let me go to school." Alice frowned. "And the social workers?" "I tried talking to them. They wouldn't listen. They said I was the problem." The girl lifted the mug to her lips and for the first time in months, let a brief smile appear. 6 months ago, Mr. Garcia tried to touch me. I screamed, ran, and never went back. I've slept on the street ever since." Alice's blood ran cold. "Where do you spend the night?" "Under the porticos at Atocha, sometimes in Retiro. When it rains, I head for the stations, but the guards kick me out. The cold isn't the worst," she added with surprising maturity. "The worst is how people look at me like I'm dirty, like it's my fault." Her words tore Alice apart. She, who rarely let herself cry, felt her eyes fill. "Erica, none of this is your fault. You're brave. You've just had a lot of bad luck." The girl tilted her head. "Miss Alice, why do you look so sad?" The question hit Alice like a punch. How could this child see what so many ignored? "It's your eyes," Erica said gently. "Even when you smile, they stay sad. Like mine when I think about my mom." Alice stayed silent. Every word from Erica made her anger burn like hot iron. The girl went on. "At first, the foster parents seemed fair, but soon they swallowed the government money and used her small arms to clean, cook, wash. School? Only when there wasn't a pot to scrub. When she went to social services, they called her trouble, a liar." Alice held her breath. Erica, hugging her hot chocolate, showed the first smile in months and continued. 6 months earlier, Mr. Garcia tried to touch her in a strange way. She screamed, ran, and never went back. She slept on the street since. Alice's heart froze. Alice asked where she slept. Under Atocha's porticos, on benches in Retiro, in stations when the rain got heavy, until the guards kicked her out. "The cold isn't the worst," Erica said firmly. "The worst is the way people look at me like I'm dirty, like it's my fault." Tears reached Alice, who rarely cried. She said none of it was Erica's fault, that she was just a brave girl who'd had no luck. Erica thanked her, then studied Alice and asked why there was so much sadness in her eyes. The question was a punch. How could she see so much? Erica explained she recognized the same weight in her own eyes when she thinks about her mother. Alice realized she had everything money could buy, but not what Erica still carried, the ability to read hearts. "I'm taking you somewhere warm tonight," she said. Erica's look mixed hope and caution. "Really? You won't leave me like the others?" Alice nodded. Hours later, the two of them were climbing the stairs to the spacious attic in Chambéry. The room, lit by gentle fixtures, took the girl by surprise. "It looks like a castle," she murmured, taking in the exposed beams and elegant furniture. "First, a hot bath," Alice suggested. "I'll get you some clean clothes. Then you can sleep in the guest room." When Erica stepped out of the steam, her blonde hair gleamed and the scent of soap filled the hallway. She wore a soft sweater that belonged to her host. Alice smiled when she saw her. "You look radiant," she remarked, guiding her down the quiet hallway. Already nestled between silk sheets, Erica lifted her face. "Miss Alice, why are you doing this for me?" Alice sat beside her. Her voice came out softer than she'd intended. "For a long time I thought success was piling up trophies that shine on the outside. Tonight, watching you savor a bowl of soup like it was a feast, I realized I'd never earned anything that shines on the inside." Erica clutched the sweater to her chest. "And I learned something too." "What?" "That there are still eyes willing to see past torn clothes." At the sound of a creak at 3 a.m, Alice woke with a start. Erica's room was empty. On the desk, a note. "Miss Alice, you were so good to me, but I only bring you trouble. People like me don't fit in pretty places. Thank you for the tastiest dinner of my life. Erica." The paper was still trembling in Alice's fingers when her heart sank. In pajamas and slippers, she headed into the streets of Madrid before dawn. She crossed Atocha, Salamanca, Malas Jessica, no sign of Erica. At 6, she walked into the precinct. "It happens all the time," the commissioner said, indifferent. "Skittish street kids run off." Alice knew another reason. The girl had left because she thought she wasn't worthy. In that instant, she made a silent vow. She wouldn't rest until she brought her back and proved she deserved to stay. For 4 days, she turned the search into her only mission. She postponed million-dollar meetings, hired detectives, and plastered posters on poles, cafes, and subway stations. "Miss Butler, the stock is down 3%, her assistant warned on the second day. "Erica's worth more than any chart," she replied without slowing her pace. At dawn on the 5th day, the phone rang. A waiter from Atocha whispered, as if afraid to scare off a bird. "I just saw the girl from the posters. She's been here since early, and she looks paler by the minute." Alice sped down the street as if the ground were on fire. Under the eaves of a forgotten mansion, she found Erica huddled, clothes coated in dust, her body racked by a dry cough. The sparkle in her eyes was gone. "Erica!" she cried, kneeling. "Miss Alice? Is it really you, or am I dreaming?" "I'm here, little one, right here." Alice lifted the girl, too light, too hot. Rocking her, she asked, "Why did you run away?" "I don't deserve good things," Erica whispered. "I'm dirty, I'm bad. You're the rarest treasure I've ever found, and I'm not letting go of your hand." Hours later at La Paz came the diagnosis. Pneumonia, 7 days in the hospital. Alice camped beside the bed, turning the armchair into a vigil. Day and night blurred into cold coffee and soft lullabies. At dawn on the 7th day, Erica opened her eyes, clearer than Alice remembered. "You stayed here the whole time?" she croaked. "Where else could I be?" The girl's tears fell. "No one ever stayed with me when I got sick." Alice squeezed her hand, feeling the fragility of the bones and the strength growing beneath. "I want to ask something serious. Will you live with me, for as long as you want?" "But I'm not your daughter," Erica murmured. "It might be. If you want, I'll adopt you." The room hung in the air, waiting for the answer. Facing the afternoon light, Erica burst into tears that washed away old wounds. "So I can have a mother again?" On her knees, Alice held her hands. "Not only can you, I'll be the best mom there is." The hug that followed felt like it lasted a lifetime. In it, each one knew she'd found her place. The next day, a new reality began. Erica traded sidewalks for a room full of books, put on a new uniform, and learned the fridge is never empty. But the biggest surprise came at breakfast. "Mom, Alice, why aren't you going to the office today?" "Because money always comes back. Time with you doesn't." Erica smiled, not knowing the answer was planting a bigger seed. A few Semjessicas later, the Erica Butler Foundation was born, opening shelters all over Spain. The news flew through the school hallways, and so did the teasing. "Is it true you used to live on the street?" a classmate asked. The sentence stuck to Erica's mind like glue. She got home with burning eyes. "Maybe I don't deserve this life." Alice knelt once more, repeating the gesture that changed everything. "You're not here because I bought a future. You're here because you saved mine. Before I met you, I was rich but empty. You taught me what real love is." Erica breathed in. There were more doubts than certainties, but also a new path opening. And it started right there, between Alice's hands, still warm from the hug. The next morning, Alice walked into the classroom holding Erica's hand. She asked for silence and announced, "I want to tell you something." She described the scene in the restaurant, the girl who'd offered her a Gargessa capo while everyone else looked away, and how in that moment she understood that living means seeing the other person. At the end, she concluded, "This is Erica. Besides being my daughter, she showed me what really matters." The classmates surrounded the new student, curious about someone who, minutes before, was anonymous. Months later, the judge signed the adoption papers. Leaving the courthouse, Erica lifted her face. "Mom, can I help at the foundation? I want other kids to feel what I felt today." "We'll make a great team," Alice replied. They started crossing Madrid as if every corner held a mission. The meeting of their lives seemed stitched together by fate. 2 years went by. The Erica Butler Foundation reached 1,000 assists across Spain. At 13, Erica traveled to the centers carrying stories that fit in a backpack. In downtown Seville, she met Kristen, 10 years old, eyes that counted the days. "I was homeless too," she said. "No frills. I got a family and everything changed." "You slept on the street?" Kristen whispered, surprised. The question carried the hope that the script could repeat itself. That night in the hotel room, Alice watched her daughter over books and notes for the next talk. "Know what I'm proudest of?" she said. "How big your heart is and how urgent you are about sharing what you got." "You were the one who opened this path for me, Mom," Erica said. On the day she turned 13, Alice's ranch near Madrid filled with friends, balloons, and a secret kept for the right moment. The gift wasn't under the makeshift tree in the garden, but in the words Alice threw to the guests. "A year ago, Erica was asking me for leftovers. Today she leads actions that change destinies. That's why I'm donating half my fortune to the foundation. 1 billion euros so no child sleeps outdoors in Europe." The air left Erica's chest. She took her adoptive mother's hands. "You showed me that true wealth isn't money but the love we share. I've gotten more love from you than I ever dreamed of. I love you." "I love you too, my miracle," Alice answered, while flashes captured the hug. Hours later, under a sky full of stars, Erica broke the silence. "Do you think my parents up there are happy because of you?" "Why do you ask?" "Because you managed to make me truly happy," she said, smiling into the infinite. 3 years have passed since the first meeting at the El Palacio Real restaurant. At 14, Erica stood out at school and coordinated foundation teams. In front of the cameras, she announced the new achievement. "Today we opened Center number 50. Every child welcomed is a life transformed. Stick around, the next story starts now." The auditorium lights went out and the crowd held its breath. From the back, Alice watched every detail with a sparkle that mixed pride and amazement. The young woman who had once asked for leftovers at the restaurant was now getting an award for her social work. After the ceremony, they went back to the same bistro that had changed both their lives. Same table, same waiter. But this time his look carried respect. Erica opened the menu but didn't hesitate. She ordered the same Iberian ham that had once seemed out of reach. While they waited, she leaned toward her friend in a confidential tone. "You know what I realized today?" she said, slowly swirling her glass. "It wasn't you who offered me help that night. It was life pushing us toward each other." Alice raised her eyebrows, inviting her to continue. "You had resources but no shoulder to share the weight of silence. I had plenty of affection but no roof. In the end, we needed the same thing, a hand reaching out." Before Alice could reply, a girl no older than 8 appeared beside the table, worn-out clothes, voice almost inaudible. "Ladies, do you have a piece of bread to spare?" Erica touched the girl's arm, seeing in the gesture a mirror of her own past. "What's your name?" she asked. "Jessica." "How long has it been since you ate, Jessica?" "Since early yesterday." Erica motioned for her to sit. "Waiter, bring another plate. Our table just got one more seat." You may never have noticed, but life sometimes changes with the quiet clink of cutlery against a plate. Jessica leaned over the steaming bowl, savoring every spoonful with the same gratitude that had once lit up Erica's eyes. Across the table, Alice watched every gesture in silence and sensed that something bigger than dinner was happening. The invisible thread of kindness was completing its journey, stitching past and present together with delicate seams. Erica broke the silence with a whisper. "Mom, I think we just gained a sister." Alice answered with a slight nod, but the smile at the corner of her lips confirmed everything. In that instant, 3 generations lined up around a simple dish. A woman who had learned to give care, another who had learned to receive it, and a girl about to discover the transformative power of an unpretentious gesture. Think about it. How many stories start with a shy question like, "Can I have your leftovers?" and end up making room for a new family? Everyday miracles, almost invisible, bloom in exactly the details the world usually ignores. If this moment touched you in any way, show there's still room for empathy. Hit the like button below and tell us in the comments, what small act has already turned your life around? After all, who says there's a greater treasure than love? There's still so much ahead, and you can be part of the next chapter. And that's how we wrap up this chapter together. If your heart beat a little harder, drop a like, share this video with someone who needs a breath of hope, and subscribe so you don't miss the next stories. Thanks for being part of this chain of kindness. We'll see you soon at our next get-together. Until then.